Hi, welcome to Rein It In. This is Matt.
And I'm Rachel. And today what we're going to talk about is follow-up from last time where we talked about North Georgia, and we're going to talk a little bit more about taking advantage of your own city and some of the stuff that we've done in Atlanta recently. And then we're going to build on that to talking about how to plan a trip for very far away, which in our case is a trip to Japan. So that's the two topics for today, and we hope you like it.
Right, welcome back. So we've been toying with how often we want to put these out. Like, the intent is we'll put them out hopefully most days while we're actually in Japan or when we're doing future travels if we like this idea. But in between, we were trying to do one once a month. Sometimes it feels a little bit too long.
Well, so you don't forget what our delightful voices sound like.
Yeah, and I don't forget how to use this podcast app. I mean, that's part of it, right? But thanks everybody who have been listening, right? Our numbers are going up, and especially my friend from North Carolina and his wife who decided to plan a trip for the North Georgia mountains after our last one. Like that's pretty awesome.
It is, yeah. So certainly, especially if you go and take some pictures and put them on Instagram, you should tag us. And it is
good. Yeah.
Rein It In _ podcast. So we would love to see pictures of anywhere that we have also gone that you go to.
Yeah. So comment on there. You can also email us at reinitin, REINITIN @ssdpress.org. We're definitely happy to hear about things. Also, I think this episode's going to be ripe for complaints, right? Anybody who's actually gone to Japan or lives in Japan probably has plenty of things to complain about, what our plans are going to be.
Oh, complaints. I think encouragement.
Encouragement.
It's ripe for encouragement.
Right. So, but we're also looking for feedback. But anyways, enough about the administrivia for the podcast. Today, we wanted to start talking about last weekend we went to see Yayoi Kasumi's Infinity Mirrors. I don't know how many of you guys are familiar? How many folks out there are familiar with that? I'm kind of surprised, I don't know about you, that people I run into who know what Infinity Mirrors is that I don't expect to.
It must have a great PR machine. I mean, because they announced it a year before it came to Atlanta, I think, and we're putting it out regularly in the Art Museum magazine and just in general sort of publications for the arts in Atlanta. So they were really pushing this. And I mean, obviously they plan all of their exhibits in advance, but this one seemed to have a particular kind of, what's the word that I want? Like almost, I don't know, mania about it.
Yeah. Well, so we're members of the High Art Museum here in Atlanta. And as part of that, we had an opportunity to like purchase sort of the first round of tickets. And as a result, we ended up getting tickets to see it twice, which is pretty cool. Like we got it once to go see it with some friends, and then we thought, if we can do this a second time, let's do it, because if we really like it, we're going to kick ourselves because it's got so much mania around it, right? So last weekend was our second trip.
Our second trip there, and so we haven't actually bothered to describe what it is. Just that there's a lot of mania about it. So Kusama is a Japanese artist. She's been making art for ages. She's 80 years old. She's done a lot of work in the United States. I was not terribly familiar with her. I'd seen one work of hers at the Mattress Factory.
Two, actually, though.
Okay, two of hers at the Mattress Factory in Pittsburgh. Those are permanent installations. You can go see them whenever you want. And then I didn't know a lot about her. So the fact that there was such hype about this exhibit surprised me. And the thing that I remember sort of strongly from the promotional materials was that like the promotional materials claimed that it was bigger than Hamilton, which obviously is a pretty big claim. However, I mean, tickets sold out faster than they sold out for Hamilton in Atlanta, and people were camped out.
Oh yeah. I don't know if I ever posted those pictures. There was pictures around the whole front of the High, which is a pretty big plaza. There was probably 15 to 20 tents?
Yeah, waiting because they released 100 day of tickets per day. So last weekend when we went there was one of the last weekends it was going to be in town. And so people were camped out at like 5 o'clock on a rainy February afternoon for tickets that were going to be released the next morning.
Yeah.
We'll post those pictures to the Instagram now that we remembered that they were a thing.
Right. Maybe I did. I don't think I did. So that's still kind of context and not really what it is, right? The main thing, she's known for sort of these polka dots. It evolved from some earlier sort of less clean sort of images with like amoebas and eyes, and some of her early stuff is definitely interesting. I think if you saw it, it seems like a style that I've seen before, right? Whether it was hers or someone else, I think she's pretty influential, or she's been influenced by people, right? And then over time, she's... Oh, what was that?
Both and.
Both and. Yeah, right, both and. Always, right. But the main thing, the infinity mirrors, are these rooms, these experiences you walk into.
They're relatively small. Like maybe 6 by 10?
Yeah, some are a little bigger than others. Some are definitely smaller. No, because I'd say a couple of them are maybe even like 12 by 12 or something. Like that first one with the lights.
Yeah, it's true. That one's a little bit
but
bigger.
so the catch, right, is that they're wall, ceiling, floor, mirror. So you get repetition out. I should look up, who's that artist that was in Denver? I'm failing at having an art degree here. They had that tunnel that you could walk through. This was in the 90s. We saw one of his pieces, or I saw one of his pieces in DC at one point, where as you were, and maybe it was a temporary installation at the Hirshhorn, where you walked, and there was like automatic doors in the front and the end, and so you stepped into basically just a mirror. So he also did this.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. I don't remember that from Denver Art Museum, but I didn't go there as much as you in the 90s. I didn't probably start going until the late 90s, early 2000s on a regular basis.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, and I should remember his name. Now, I'd be curious. I got to look. I should have done this before the podcast. Like, who started doing it first, right? Like, which one of them was more influential? He doesn't have anything in his. His, you just go in and it's just mirror.
Just mirror. Well, so Kusama's has different things inside of hers. The oldest one that was there, I think, had these sort of like creatures that she had made out of fabric. Maybe one of the most recent ones is a bunch of blown glass pumpkins, and then there's lights, and one of them has flashing lights. Anyway, so it's kind of an immersive experience, which is nice, right? Like, being immersed in an artwork is a great thing. The not great thing about it is that you only get to be immersed in it for 30 seconds. Yeah,
and you have to wait in line for like 20 minutes at each, because there's like, what, seven rooms, 4 of which you go into. No, I guess five you go into. One of them is just stickers at the exit. It's basically like the exit of the gift shop, but without a gift shop.
You offer the gift of stickers.
Right. I mean, that was actually kind of cool. We'll post some pictures of that too.
Yeah, I'd like
when you go in, you get like a little sheet of stickers of polka dots, colored polka dots that of different sizes, maybe like 6 or 8 of them.
You're not allowed to take them with you.
Right. Yeah, they have someone at the end taking them if you try to walk out with them. But that was one of the cooler parts about it, I think, right, is we went one of the, within the first month of it being open. And there was a lot, and it was basically like white furniture, minimal room, right? It was like a couple bookcases, a table, some chairs, a couch.
A
television.
Desk, plant.
Yeah.
I mean,
there was a fair amount of stuff. Yeah, and it was a pretty good sized room. It was, I'd say it was, I don't know what I'm going to say. But when we first went, there was a lot of stickers. There was a lot of stickers there. When we went back one of the last weekends, that was a lot of stickers. It was pretty intense. So that actually turned into one of the cooler rooms.
Right.
Even though there were no mirrors. That one was no mirrors. There was another one of the 5 that you walk into, there were minimal mirrors. There were all these big puffy balls and people taking selfies and taking too long when they were asking us to walk in, but that's okay. Tried to contain my rage.
It's fine. We were very tired the second time we went. I had surgery and I'm hauling around this arm that only kind of works, and standing in line with a sling and an arm that's not actually that functional is really tiring, as it turns out.
Yeah.
So I don't recommend it if you are going to go see infinity mirrors anywhere.
Go healthy.
Yeah, I mean, do it before your surgery.
Yeah. So let's get to the chase though, right? So you said the bad parts were waiting potentially 20 minutes to get into a room that you could only be in there.
40 to get into that first
room, I know, yeah. And then only getting 30 freaking seconds.
Right, yeah, waiting 40 minutes for 30 seconds is rough. And you want it to be longer, but then of course you would just be in line
again
for even longer than that. So
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm happy I saw it. I'm not necessarily happy I saw it twice, but part of that was just like surgery exhaustion. So that's doesn't really necessarily have anything to do with that, but it does say something about accessibility.
Yeah.
And like maybe they should sort of think about for people who are not able-bodied, like what are you going to do with these people while they're standing in line forever?
I did notice there were ramps to get into all of them.
Yeah.
And there's like a standing area where you can go in. So I think you could get in a wheelchair.
Right.
That part was good, but yeah, waiting in line is not ideal.
No, because if you have like a broken ankle or a bad back, I don't know. I mean, it's just like there's a lot of things that would sort of limit you from being able to really experience it because of the lines, not because of how the artwork is.
Yeah.
Presented.
Yeah. Now, so interesting thing too, right? Mattress Factory. It's hard to say if it's one or two pieces because you walk through one of her mirror rooms to go into a second mirror room.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And the Mattress Factory, if you haven't been to the Mattress Factory or heard about it, like I love it. It's one of my favorites. There's like 3 or 4 James Turrells there. He's one of my favorite sort of like installation experience. He's a light and space artist, I think is what the technical thing is. My one complaint about the Mattress Factory is all the pieces seem to have been installed at 98% complete or effective or something. Like there's like some of the lines don't line up quite right, like because they have one of the same pieces that they had in Denver for James Turrell, and the one there just seems so clean and crisp and tight. And it might be that these things have been in place with lots of people walking through it for years, and it's just like a little bit of dirt, a little bit of smudge, just kind of like, because especially in a lot of Turrell's stuff, the walls around these lights that he creates are just completely clean, flat. So it makes these interesting illusions of space, even though it's just light or shapes and mass.
You should Google him. It's pretty great. But you don't really, I mean, you're going to Google him and you're going to be like, man,
this doesn't make
whatever.
Sense. Yeah.
So you really got to go in person. Mattress Factory always has in residence.
Every time we're in Pittsburgh, we go because there's always some temporary stuff there that's awesome. I still love the Turrells, but I have to admit, I was never blown away by her mirror stuff there either. I always thought like, this is interesting. It seems a little this is going to be the really snooty, but I mean, as someone who has an art degree, even though I work in computers, like I do judge a lot of artwork that I see, and I think like, is this something that I would have seen my peers making in college or in high school even? And sometimes you see stuff that just has that like aura of quality or like just execution that's a little bit off. The ones in Infinity Mirrors, I will say execution fantastic.
Yeah,
like if I could spend 5 minutes in one of those, this would be an entirely different discussion.
It would, yeah. I mean, and if it just wasn't, and that's what I mean. I think the problem with the Infinity Mirrors exhibit is not the exhibit themselves, but the hype that's built up around it.
Yeah, it's its own fame, right?
Yeah.
Which is potentially manufactured.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it is like telling everyone that it's the biggest, it's bigger than Hamilton, and so therefore they have to go and see it. It means that everybody is like, oh, I have to go and see this. I mean, just like people were with Hamilton, everybody who doesn't ever see a musical was like, shit, I got to go see this.
Yeah. But man, that one lived up to the hype, though.
It did live up to the hype. Hamilton is really great. As it turns out, it was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So anyway, I mean, we don't want to just complain about.
No. I would still say check it out if it's coming through your town, because it is definitely an experience, even just around the experience of the experience.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool to see that many people in an art museum. So, like, I think it's worth going to, but be prepared for the lines and be prepared to be like, all right, that was good, instead of like, holy shit, my mind was blown.
Yeah. So the good transition here, right? We're at like 13 minutes on this section, so we'll have to make the second section shorter because we don't want to make these too much longer than 20 minutes for you folks. But but this is a good transition to Japanese planning, because one of the things we're looking at doing is, I was not aware of this until a couple months ago, and I learned about it unrelated to the Kusama exhibit. But like Team Lab is this thing that it's an international thing, and probably plenty of people know about this. And I'm from like a high art perspective, it's probably a little bit or something like that, because I think it has a little bit of a commercial air, like it's making it like an amusement park for art. But ultimately, if it gets people out there, so that's one I'm just going to let you just look that one up. But it looks like they do some things that are building off of Infinity Mirror's concepts and also all sorts of other things. But where one of the exhibits, you're walking through like ankle or shin deep water, and you are really part of the experience. So we're probably going to buy tickets for one of those.
Yeah.
I think we're looking at Borderless probably, which does not have the water.
So anyway, we've been working slowly on getting things together for our Japan trip, which is coming up soon. We finally started sort of finalizing an itinerary.
I'd say we're like 80% on what cities we'll be in and what days.
We've booked about half of the hotels, and that's been kind of an interesting, like almost organic experience, more so than I thought it was going to be. Like things have really come together pretty effectively. So we had a couple points that we knew we wanted to go to. Obviously, we're starting in Tokyo. It's where we fly into. We want to spend a significant amount of time there. So we've got our Airbnb booked there. And then we knew we were interested in going to the city that has the Guinness Book of World Records largest jellyfish.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say collection, but that's not quite right because they're alive.
It's an aquarium.
Largest jellyfish aquarium in the world. So we were like, that sounds great because who doesn't like looking at jellyfish?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't, then I don't know if we could be friends.
No. You're probably not listening to the podcast anyway. Although you might just think jellyfish are gross, which I can totally understand. They're kind of like mobile boogers that sting.
But they also glow. They're great. Anyway, so I really like jellyfish, if you hadn't guessed this by now. So,
so that's way over on the east side of the northern half of the main island.
Yeah, this is not like prime tourist country. So prime Western tourist travel, right? This is not Osaka or Kyoto or Hiroshima, any of that, right? So this is like little tiny town on the northeast side of the biggest island.
Yeah. So I mean, so kind of some context, right? Most people who go to Japan, from what I've gathered in the research and on the like near infinite number of YouTube videos I've watched,
it's true.
Like there's a golden route, which generally people come into Tokyo, they run down to Kyoto, Osaka, maybe they go down to Hiroshima, and that's all sort of out to the west and south. Mm-hmm. And I might have said it's on the east side of the island. It's on the west side of the island.
Sure, you're right. Yep.
Yeah. So anyways, it's on the Sea of Japan side, where the jellyfish aquarium is. But the golden route goes out that way, right? So it goes sort of like southwest. And Rachel, for I think pretty much as long as we've known each other, which we've been dating 20 years at this point and married for 15, has always wanted to go to Hokkaido, Japan, which is the North Island. So we wanted to make sure we could make that. Now there is a second popular route because the Japan tourism has exploded over the last few years, like massively exploded. And there's a lot of complaints about just going to a lot of the attractions that people have traditionally wanted to see, the shrines, the things like that, even just the towns or the cities, right, are just overrun with people. And so we were kind of a little bit nervous about doing that for the Golden Route. There's a second one called the Platinum Route, which is a little bit newer. And that one goes sort of from Tokyo and then goes up through Sendai, which is in the northern part of the main island and actually on the east side, on the Pacific Ocean side. And then it keeps going up to the top of Honshu is the main island, right? Mm-hmm. And then cuts into Hokkaido. So we were initially looking at that, but then we decided to do this modified one, which would take us to the opposite side of the country.
Right. And the bonus of that is that we get to go through the Japanese Alps. So obviously we're going to be there in May. There's not going to be any skiing, but we'll get to see some really lovely mountains.
We're not skiers anyway.
No, we're not skiers anyway. I'm not compelled by skiing. So I'm compelled by spring mountains. It's going to be delightful.
Yeah.
And I think we'll see a really different and ideally less sort of mobbed experience of some smaller towns in Japan.
Yeah. I mean, we're still going to, these aren't towns we need to keep in mind, right? These are still cities.
No, I'm not like,
yeah, I mean, we're going to Niigata, we're going to go through
rustic, magical experience.
No, right. Yeah. I mean, because there's also that whole problem of like, we're going to see authentic Japan, right? And sort of like the inherent racism and problems with sort of that
And just the idea that authenticity is always manufactured, right?
Right. I mean, if we could just go to Kyoto for that and see crowds as well. But
Right.
But yes, we're going to see a little bit of something different, which is it's gonna tax our limited Japanese because
sure.
there's going to be probably less English speakers around, less English menus. Because when I was in Tokyo 3 years ago, it was dirt simple to travel in Tokyo. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But we're going to be traveling a lot. That's the one concern I have.
Right. We'll be jumping around between places pretty regularly. But I've been happy with like the way that we've been able to find places and sort of spread out the trip. So we're spending an hour or two on the train, not too long. And it's actually been relatively easy to decide on hotels in these smaller towns, which has been nice.
The opposite of Tokyo.
The opposite of Tokyo. It took us forever to find an Airbnb in Tokyo. Not because there aren't a lot of them, because there are, because they're all basically exactly the same. So it's super hard to make a decision when you're I mean, we should have just like thrown a thing at a dartboard once we had chosen our final 10. Any of them would have been delightful. You know, I mean, but we'll talk separately a different time about how we go about choosing Airbnbs and perhaps more and less frustrating experiences of deciding what the Airbnb is that we want.
Right.
Much less so like what they actually are once we get there.
Right. Just should we wrap this one up, maybe?
I think we're going to wrap this one up.
I do want to add, though, I'm going to cut you off if I can.
Sure.
So for anyone that does want to give any feedback, anybody who's been to Japan, overall, real quick, the skeleton of our trip, we're going to do Tokyo to Echigo, and then Niigata to Tsuruoka, which is where the aquarium is, and then to Akita, and then to Aomori, and then up to Hakodate, probably Noboribetsu, I think is how you say it, onsen town up there. We're going to do ryokan onsens in Echigo in the mountains outside Niigata, and at the onsen town between Hakodate and Sapporo. And then we're going to do Sapporo for a couple days and then fly back to Tokyo.
We're going to spend a lot of time naked with strangers because basically everywhere that we're going has an onsen. So, but not private onsens. So Matt will be hanging out with the naked dudes. I'll be hanging out with the naked ladies.
Yeah. We haven't looked at any of these have co-ed ones because that does happen some places. But I mean, ultimately, I'm always thinking I'm naked. I'm naked under my clothes.
All right. With that image, we will leave you for this time, and we'll be back in a month or so to talk a little bit more about Japan planning, maybe once we get some more things finalized. I'd like to talk about how to have fun when you travel for academic conferences.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
So,
yeah. Should we get a special guest on that one?
Oh, maybe. That would be great.
I don't know who that guest would be. Somebody who's not an academic.
So you can look forward to a couple of those.
All right. Awesome. Thanks, everybody. You can check us out at anchor.fm/rainItin. That's spelled REINITIN, all one word, no spaces, and you can leave us a message there. You can also follow us at Instagram at rainitin_podcast or email us at rainitin@ssdpress.org, also spelled REINITIN at ssdpress.org. Thanks again to all of our friends and family for all the support and for putting up with us. Have a great day.